Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today's video we are going to be talking about the similarities between mythologies and religions and explaining how we are a lot more alike than people may care to admit. If you haven't been tampered with by, getting poisons injected into your body, or eating too much garbage food, if your pineal gland is clean and you're not taking in fluoride and blocking out the light, and you're not drinking water with lead in it that blocks out and swallows light, then this video should find you and show you that we are a lot more alike and we have a lot more in common than we've ever been led to believe. That divide and conquer mind control technique sure is real. So, with that being said, I'd like to get started. It's going to be kind of weird. I need to get a tripod. So, this little drawing right here, okay, you've got your 5 squares turned so that way the points are going in a vertical direction. Okay, this was Ben Balderson's depiction of Yggdrasil minus the colors, okay, and how he split it up into, which I'll discuss again in a moment, is you've got your basic unit. I can't remember all of it. He's got the Odin mind up top, and then I believe it's the Ville mind next. And then down here, this is just a rough drawing, by the way. I can't say that I'm not very artistic, because at times I am, but that's the general gist of Ben Balderson's breaking apart of Yggdrasil. And the way that he has it correspond is through plant alchemy. Okay, so plants are broken up into 3 main constituent points. So you've got your, just like us, we got like a mind, body, spirit. Okay, so we've got the oils, right? In terms of like cannabis, you've got your oils up here. That's your THCs, your CBDs, and your terpenes, for example, right? And then you've got your cellular structure, you've got your water, things like that, stuff that needs to get burned off, okay? And then down here you've got your salt structure. These are your cell salts and other salts within the plant, okay? And this is how you create plant medicine. You ferment things, you take it, you distill out the oils, then you burn off the cell structure in the water, and then recombine the oils with the salts, and the oils activate the salts. I'm gonna get back to that point, okay? But so Yggdrasil, this depiction corresponds to the 9 realms that were ruled over by Odin, okay? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's your 9 realms ruled over by Odin. Okay, now this also corresponds to the 9 aspects of light that we can, basically measure. Okay, so you've got your 7 color spectrum of visible light. You've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, well, above, right up here, you've got ultraviolet, and down here you've got infrared. The combination of these things creates white light, which corresponds to sunlight. Okay, now this all corresponds to the zodiac, okay, because Saturn and Uranus rule over Aquarius, but Saturn also rules over Capricorn. Pisces rules over both, Jupiter rules over both Pisces and Sagittarius. Aries and Scorpio are ruled over by Mars. Taurus and Libra by Venus. Virgo and Gemini by Mercury. The moon rules over Cancer, and the Leo rules over, or the Sun rules over Leo. Okay. Now, these 7 right here are important because these are what's visible to us, and that corresponds to the 7 luminaries in the sky, the 7 planets of antiquity, and the 7 metals of antiquity. Okay, so the ancients found use for 7 main metals, okay, which were lead, which is known as black lead, tin, which is known as white lead, iron, copper, mercury, silver, and gold. Okay, so there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your 7 metals of antiquity, and how it corresponds to the 7 planets of antiquity. So you've got Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, and the Sun. Obviously, the Sun and the Moon aren't technically planets, but they're luminaries. They're the biggest luminaries in the sky, and that's why they're important, because they symbolize a lot of things when it comes to not just outside of us, but within us. And I'll get to that later too. Okay, so this is also your 7 chakra system right here. Alright, but below the 7 chakra system, you've got the realm of the things which cannot be seen, of the lower nature. You know, these are things that must be felt and experienced, you know, and it corresponds to like doing some like black magic type of shit. This is your black zone, this is your white zone, so to speak. Okay, up here corresponds with the sun, you know, the heavens. Alright, so this is the realm of the sun, and this is the realm of Uranus, father sky, the darkness. Uranus is beyond our sight. Okay, so the next in line that we can see, the furthest one away that we can see would be Saturn, and then Jupiter, and then Mars. Okay, and then going up towards the sun, we've got Venus, because Venus is after Earth. Alright, so we got Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, but from Earth you go Venus, and then Mercury, and then up here you've got the sun, right? But the moon's up there too. So this is the meaning behind the Temple of Solomon. Okay, so you've got the sun and the moon. Sol, S-O-L. Okay, this is important to remember because we mess around with phonetics. Okay, S-O-L is phonetically, because it sounds the same, S-O-U-L. Okay, so the sun corresponds to your soul. Alright, now the 7 chakra system is the energy pathway. Okay, this is the way that your soul rises up into the mind and the brain in order to unlock the gates of heaven. Okay, because up here, the sun, you know, the realm of the sun, where Jesus is at, corresponds to heaven, which corresponds to Mount Olympus, which corresponds to Asgard. Okay, I haven't exactly done as much research as I'd like to on how each one of these corresponds specifically to each one of the 9 realms ruled over by Odin. Other people can do that research. You know, I'm not here to do everything for you. Okay, but Uranus corresponds to hell, which corresponds to Tartarus. You know, not just the underworld. The underworld is where people go when they die, not necessarily where people get locked up. Because you got to remember, you know, Saturn in the red zone, your root, rules over hell. Okay, now so here's some symbolism to understand. So Satan comes from Shaitan, which means opposition or opposer or adversary. Okay, so if you're trying to climb up this ladder to ascend to the heavens, then this guy, if you're stuck in here, you know, deals with survival blocked by fear. You know, there's more connection to Satan right there. That fear locks you back up into here, so that way you can't climb. You got to get over that fear. Alright? There's the force of fear and the force of faith. If you read the book Outwitting the Devil, it's talked about in there. If you were to read the book Alcoholics Anonymous, written at around the same time in the 30s, it says it in there too. You know, and like from my time in AA, they tell you the opposite of fear is faith. which is, it's true, because there's two entities within all of us, one that'll feed off of fear and one that'll feed off of faith, okay? But really, you got to realize that they're one and the same. They're just opposite polarities. This is the principle of polarity from the Hermetic principles, and this is stuff that you can experiment with in your own life. Now this actually corresponds to the 7 Hermetic principles, and I'm probably gonna botch them because I don't remember the specific order, but I know that it starts with the Law of Mentalism. Okay, so I want to talk about that. So the Law of Mentalism is the universe is mental. Okay, we have to understand that everything that ever was, is, and ever will be started off as thought. Okay, so even me being here, that started off as a thought between, in my dad's mind and my mom's mind. Okay, and so this is why that corresponds with that crown chakra, because that's what corresponds with the sun and the moon. Now, an ancient name for the moon goddess is Min, which is where we get the word mind. Okay, and it also is further tied into with the words lunacy, because lunacy has to do with an unsteady, unbalanced nature of the mind, and Luna is the Latin or Roman god of the moon. Okay, and then there's also mania, M-A-N-I-A, mania, manic, which also corresponds to unsteady, unbalanced nature of the mind, and corresponds to the moon goddess. Okay, so these are things that a lot of people need to understand, and really you can apply it in your life. Okay, so there's your Law of Mentalism. Then the third eye chakra is your Law of Correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. The things that you think about and the visions that you put in your head ultimately will end up becoming your reality, especially if you act towards them. That's the biggest thing. If you act towards the things you think about, they manifest and become your reality. Okay, so as above, so below. There's your Law of Correspondence, corresponding with Mercury. Okay, which is Odin, which is Hermes Trismegistus. This is the Law of Correspondence. Now, funny enough, the throat chakra, ruled over by Venus, the goddess of beauty, God's most, or the most beautiful goddess, or Lucifer, God's most beautiful angel, who speaks the truth, corresponds with the law of vibration. Okay? And then all the way down here, so on and so forth, down into your root chakra, the realm of Saturn, deals with survival, blocked by fear. You've got cause and effect. That should be your foundation that you build your tower to the heavens upon. Really, that is what you should build upon. That should be your root, is a firm grasp and understanding of the principle of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and every cause will create an effect. Okay, so I am the effect of my parents, getting together like 29 years ago. Okay, so important to understand this, started off as a thought and ultimately became an effect from a cause, just like everything else that ever was, is, and ever will be. Okay, God says that I was, I am, I always will be, right? In the Bible, that's what he says. Now, if you were to watch Ben Balderson's video on Yggdrasil, you would see him explain this. If you were to take this and overlap it with this, it creates that Ouroboros, that Serpent of Light. Okay, but now the important thing is that this corresponds so much to the body, and it's something that I wish I could explain better to people that aren't necessarily initiated into what some people would call the weird. Okay, if you were to fold this in half lengthwise and roll it around a pencil and look at it, you've got the sine wave. It'll make that sine wave. You know, so there's your DNA right there. You've got DNA right here, that double helix all the way up. Okay, so that right there is basically God's law written there. That's your DNA. That's your genetic code. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart right now. That DNA is one aspect of the tree of life. Okay, it is what makes up your body, your tree, your physical essence. That is your genetic code. Okay, and that is your tree of life. If you don't have a very healthy tree of life, a very healthy genetic code, then your life isn't going to be either very pleasurable or very long. Okay, so now this corresponds to the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, you know, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, and then Do would be the resetting of that cycle. Okay, now this corresponds to the Greek mythology myths. Okay, if that's what you want to call it. If you want to call it a mythology or a cosmology, it doesn't matter. Okay, so you've got the realm of Saturn. This is black lead, you know, and so let me back up and start with Uranus. Uranus is Father Sky, right? He's the blackness, and his corresponding metal would be uranium. You know, in my opinion, my interpretation, it just makes the most sense this way. And he is dethroned, castrated, and dethroned and sent into Tartarus by Saturn. Okay, so Saturn is lead. Well, black lead, blocks out light, blocks out radiation, and uranium is full of radiation. Okay, so right there you see how lead, the corresponding metal to Saturn, blocks out the power of uranium, you know, or Uranus. And then from black lead, white lead is born, which is tin, which corresponds to Jupiter, who then Jupiter dethrones Saturn, Zeus dethrones Kronos, okay, and then onward into iron, Mars, Aries dethrones Jupiter, okay. Now up here I haven't done as much research into that, other than Odin is married to Freya, Hermes is married to Aphrodite, Mercury is married to Venus. So these two are married, and they create a child that is, so in the Greek mythology, there's Hermaphroditus, the combination of Hermes and Aphrodite, said to have had the face of a man and a woman. Now, this is obviously it's your hermaphrodite, but it's your neutral, it's your ground. Okay, so there's your principle of polarity and principle of gender. Okay, so you've got your positive, neutral, negative. A lot of people just want to focus on the positive and negative and not the neutral. They want to focus on the past and past and the future, but not worry about the present. They want to focus on male and female and say there's only two genders, but they forget the hermaphrodite, because science says that the hermaphrodite, even though that they have the genitalia of both, that they're really one or the other. You know, they may be one or the other in a dominant fashion, but they still have that other part, and therefore they're still partially, you know, woman and man. So a lot of people need to understand that, okay, that it is kind of its own separate thing, and there's many different expressions of that. Genetic code plays a part in that, but just know that you are not your DNA. Okay, so moving on. You can see, if you do enough research, how this all corresponds, and it's all talking about the same thing. Now, this is seen through the precession of the zodiac. Okay, so in our modern times, the first sign of the zodiac starts in Aries, and it ends in Pisces. But here's the thing. This the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet all corresponds to the seven luminaries, correct? Okay, so you've got your red, orange, yellow. That's your Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. Okay, so you start up here at Aries, ruled over by Mars. Makes sense. Aries is the Greek god of war. Mars is the Roman god of war. And they're basically just, distant cousins. Not even distant. They're like a hop, skip, and a jump away. Okay, well then from Aries, in the normal procession of the zodiac throughout the year, the sun starts moving up into the realm of Taurus, and then Gemini, and then Cancer, and then up here, is where you'd hit the solstice, the Lion of Judah up here, this is your hottest part of the year, right? Because Leo corresponds with July to August, like mid-late July to mid-late August, where it actually is hotter than during the time of the solstice. Okay, so that comes around. Then drops back down into Virgo, also ruled over by Mercury, and then Libra, ruled over by Venus, Scorpio by Mars, Sagittarius by Jupiter, Capricorn by Saturn, and then it comes back around into Aquarius, ruled over by Saturn and Uranus, in my opinion. Modern interpretations say Uranus, and older interpretations say Saturn. So use your best judgment on this. I like to think of it as both, because if we don't wake people up to what's going on, then we will never turn that lead, that Saturn, that Satan, that realm of fear, into gold, the realm of faith. Okay, this is the great work of alchemy. And then from Aquarius, we go up to Pisces, which corresponds with Jesus. Okay, so the age of Pisces is when the sun rises in the house of Pisces. Okay, and that's what we've been in. Pisces is the fish. Okay, now here's how it even more corresponds together. Okay, so this is the path of the soul, right? The path of the sun. Now, Jesus, this is his path through the 12 tribes of Judea. This is Hercules, or Heracles, and that's his actual Greek name, is Heracles. This is his 12 labors. Okay, so this is your soul's path. This is the 7 chakra system. Okay, so you bring the soul up to the realm of the heavens. Okay, and then you descend back down into the depths of hell. And when you come back out, you go and you do the right thing, and you share that, and you try and tell people how you found God. Now, this corresponds to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, or any of the anonymous programs too. Okay, so starting with Aries. Aries means, that Latin word, Aries, R-A-R-I-E-S, right here, means ram. And the ram is the symbol for the Most High. Okay? Now, I like to think of it this way. Okay? So it's the most important step. Okay? It is the foundation. At least in the Bible, it's the foundation too. But it is the foundation that gets you going on that journey. It's known in Alcoholics Anonymous as the most important step. They say it's the only step that you can do perfectly. And that is admitting that you have a problem, and that the problem, and trying to fix it and create your own spin on shit, is what made your life unmanageable. So you've got a problem, and it created chaos. Okay, and that's why it's most important, because that's what you build your foundation upon. It gets you going. Okay, so I like to think of it like this: Aries, just rearrange the letters, and you are arising from where you were once before. Okay, now, then that corresponds to step 1. Step 2, the throat, the truth, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Okay, that's your voice of truth. Okay, this power, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, God, highest self, whatever, that can definitely restore me to balance. Okay, then you've got step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Like, okay, we believe it, and we have that vision of what can happen if we just turn our will and life over. Because we, in Alcoholics Anonymous, you're seeing all these people that used to be drug addicts and alcoholics and fuck their life up, excuse my language, and then, they said that they trusted this program and this process, and their life got better. So the big thing to understand is that just because this is tied to Alcoholics Anonymous does not mean that you cannot benefit from it. Anyone can benefit from working these fucking 12 steps. Anybody can work it on any problem. Like, you don't have to say that you're powerless over alcohol. And it's not that you are powerless. We admitted that we were, as in past tense. In the past, we were powerless. Now we're taking our power back. Okay? Then you get up to 4 and 5. So you write your inventory of shit, that harm that you caused, people that you're mad at, and then you share it with somebody. Okay? So this is the realm of the mind. This is where the real work starts, in the realm of the mind, in the realm of the heavens. Okay? Then you're descending back down. Okay? You get down to Capricorn, corresponding to step 10, which is continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. And that corresponding principle in AA is perseverance, because you're about to descend down into here and test your spirit, okay, which is where Aquarius comes in. Aquarius being an air sign. If you've ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the airbenders were very spiritual people. Okay, now corresponding to step 11, you've got sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So there's your step 11, spirituality. All right, you're coming back up into the realm of higher consciousness. Okay, then step 12, oddly enough, Pisces, the fish, corresponding with Jesus, is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. We try to carry this message to other alcoholics or sick people or people with the same issue, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Okay, so that would be service. And so think about what Jesus did. He ascended to the realm of the heavens, came down, tested himself, went through the fires of hell, so to speak, spent 3 days in the earth, like the sun spends 3 days looking like it's standing still in the sky at its apex. It looks like it's staying there. That's what solstice means. It means sun still, and it does that for 3 days, where it looks like when it hits that apex in the sky that it stops, even if it's not for very long. Okay, that happens at the solstices, and I believe the equinoxes as well, but I digress. So Jesus, he made that first step, that first move, and then when he made full circle, he went out to share this with people. Okay, so this is your cycle right here. Going in that circle, that's your cycle. Okay, that creates also an Ouroboros. This is your Serpent of Light right here. Okay. Now, if you were to put several of these right next to each other, just red all the way across the board, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then the white and the black, okay, and put them next to each other, it would look like this. So there's your sine wave of life for those who are nerds and like math like I do. Okay. Now, in Ben Balderson's video on plant alchemy and Yggdrasil, he will tell you that Odin, excuse me, I'm dropping stuff. He'll tell you that Odin removed this middle one and combined these two to really just create this. Now, that can be interpreted many ways. You know, one could say that he removed the emotion and just stuck to the thought and the action, which is funny because that is symbolized by the skull and crossbones. Now, Odin is Hermes, and Hermes is said to be the father of pirates and thieves. Okay, now that's funny because Odin removed his eye and threw it down the well to pull out the knowledge of runes. Okay, now the funny thing about that, Odin was the father of the Vikings, which, as we know, were pirate raiders. And then, you know, I've had this on my ceiling since I moved into this place. Look at that. You've got the raiders. Their symbol is, you know, what would be a skull and crossbones, which is thought and action, void of emotion. And look at that. He's got one eye. So, obviously, like, there's not enough that I can cover in this video. I gotta work eventually, you know. But I'm gonna leave it with this, you know, just play around with a little phonetic wordplay and word splitting and just understanding, you know, how all these things are similar. So we've got Saturn's Latin name, Saturnus. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't have the camera on there, right? So this is Saturnus. Well, if you add an A right here, it becomes Sat-Uranus. Okay, so it's split into Sat and Uranus. Now, what I've learned in some of my studies in Egyptian mythology is, or cosmology, whatever you want to call it, is that vowels are interchangeable a lot of the time. So replace this first A with an E, and you get Set-Uranus, Uranus, Set-Uranus, okay? And it's perfect example of phonetic wordplay and how it makes sense, because Set lays the sun to rest. It kills the sun. It blocks out the sun. Lead blocks out light. You know, and similar to how Saturn or Kronos removes Uranus from power. So, with that being said, I hope everyone has a good day. This video was a long time coming. I've been meaning to upload it and get this knowledge out there. It's probably going to be the last of my bigger videos for a while. But I just I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope everyone can learn something from this knowledge. If you guys like it, you know, subscribe, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter as much to me as you might think. I do this so I can speak the truth into existence. But okay, so actually one more thing, since I kind of have to. This is the Kabbalistic tree of life. This is the tree of life of Kabbalah. This is your 7 chakra system as well. Okay, and I'll explain that real quick, and then I'll end the video. Okay, this is root chakra, and you've got your sacral, solar plexus, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye, and crown. Okay, and you can even see the similarities in the shape and structure. I've actually seen a depiction of this on a copy of the Sefer Yetzirah. These are the 10 Sephirot. The Sefer Yetzirah talks about this. I've seen a depiction of this that looks exactly like this, except it only takes, you know, 3 of the squares. So, hope everybody finds this information helpful. You know, you can raise the spirit from the dead and, you know, do amazing things with that work. So, I hope everyone has a good day. I got to get ready for work. All right, bye.